I know. Good evening, everyone. Meeting of the Open Space Authority Board of Directors is now called to order. Do a roll call, please.
Director Kennett.
Here.
Director Slacher is not present. Director Chapman.
Here.
Director Annabelle.
Here.
Director Alexander.
Here.
Director Potter.
Here.
Director Gill.
Yeah. All right. And I understand we have some new staff.
Yes, we do. We will be calling them up one at a time.
All right, Derek, you're gonna do this?
Yes, I will. It's my pleasure first for Hanford Kwan to come on up. He was promoted into the Open Space Technician 1 position this past season. He is currently with us at our Sierra Vista team in Hanford.
Hello, my name is Hanford Kwong. I'm Open Space Tech 1. What brought me to the agency is that I just want to work with nature, and I wish I did this a lot sooner, a lot sooner, instead of becoming a lab rat in biology. So I still enjoy it.
Thank you very much. And for those of you that shop at REI, you might have seen him at REI. With us as formerly an REI employee. Next up is Abel Castillo, another Open Space Technician 1 promotion with our Sierra Vista team.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Abel Castillo. I am an Open Space Technician 1, working at Sierra Vista Open Space Preserve. I started my season in 2021. It was a quick 6 months. From there, I applied to be an open space aide, and I was brought on, fortunately. And, just having the opportunity to work with such a eccentric team, and everybody here is just so passionate about what we do to protect our lands and our environments, just makes it so that I just want to give everything that I got to just help out any way that I can. And I'm glad that I get to do that every single day. Thank you.
Next up is Daniel Turner, a promotion to an Open Space Tech 2 this past year. And he is with our South Valley team.
Yes. Hello, Daniel, like he said, Daniel Turner. And then, I've been with the agency, including my season time, like 6 years now. It's very satisfying. I don't see myself doing anything else. I like working and getting things done, and that's what the field is all about. Everybody in here helps us do that. So thank you for letting me have a great, satisfying job.
Thank you, Daniel. Next up, with our Sierra Vista team again, Jackson Large, who is promoted into the position.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jackson Large. Recently promoted into the open space aide position at Sierra Vista. I worked my first season as a seasonal at Sierra Vista, separated by a season at State Parks and then another season with the South County team. After that season at State Parks, I very, very quickly realized what makes OSA so special and so unique and such a good place to work at, but also how impactful and influential it is to both modern sort of problems that we're facing and our larger ecological solutions. So it truly is a pleasure to be able to come in and feel like my work means something every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jackson. With our South County team again, new aide position, Ryan Rosenbaum.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Rosenbaum. I'm an open space aide here in the South County. My first and only season, really, I was with Jackson just last season, and it was a fantastic experience. We had a great time and learned a lot, and it kind of fed right into this new position. When an aide position opened up, just kind of fed right into there. I'm here to learn and just build a solid foundation for the rest of my career.
Very much, Ryan. And last is Braden Will, also with our South County team.
Hello, my name is Braden Will. I'm the new Open Space aide. This is my first experience with the Open Space Authority. I didn't, like most of the others, have a seasonal experience here, but every day has been a day of new growth and new learning. And I truly think that I have the best job in the world working for this agency, doing the kind of work that I get to do, and get paid for it, which is fantastic. So thank you all very much.
So with that, just a really brief overview of their positions. So the aides are really instrumental in helping the Open Space Authority with the general operation of public visitation. They're the ones that open and close the preserves mostly. They also help with the main teams out on the trails, doing brushing, doing any kind of maintenance issues that are out there and that type of stuff. Then our Open Space Tech 1 and 2 positions, they are the backbone of the maintenance workers out there. They're the ones that are currently building the trails up at Coyote Ridge, which I hope that all of you can soon get out and experience just what wonderful work they're doing out there. But they're also the ones that are working and repairing any kind of fencing, doing road and trail maintenance, facilities maintenance, and all the other good stuff that keeps our preserves, I think, some of the best, if not the best, kept preserves in all of the San Francisco Bay Area. So they do a tremendous job out there. I'm really, really proud of all the work that they do. And these guys' promotions and also just hired into the positions, they are the best of the best. They truly are within our Bay Area.
Derek, I have a quick question for you. The A position is, could you just explain a little bit more what is the duty for the A positions?
The aid positions? Yeah, so the aid positions, they're the ones that are the backbone of our public relations out there. They're the ones that open the preserve and close the preserve each night. So they actually free up our techs to be able to focus their time and effort on the more detailed projects. It's an entry-level position that helps each person in that position become knowledgeable about everything that there is about our agency and about the tasks that they would perform as an open space tech. So it gets them ready for that. And as you can see with Able and Hanford, they go from that, and then as soon as we get a position available, they can bump right into it. And at that point, we know them, they know us, and it's a seamless transition into the Open Space Tech 1 position.
Thank you.
Well, welcome, and your enthusiasm obviously overflows tonight, so it looks like you really enjoy your job, and that's really important when, you know, people go out to the preserves, you're the face they're gonna see first of all, and, you know, so you're the ones welcoming everybody, and I bet we probably have a lot of people out there right now enjoying the wildflowers, right? Yeah.
Lots and lots and lots.
Good, that's wonderful, very good. Well, welcome everyone, thank you. Okay, so, now, announcement regarding the items we discussed in closed session, we can make prior to closed session.
So. Thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight we have 3 items to discuss with OSA's real property negotiator. And the particulars are as listed on the agenda.
That will bring it closer.
Yeah.
For any members of the public who are live streaming or listening in, our board of directors is still in closed session. So we will reconvene as soon as they are out. Thank you.
It's still late. All right. All right, we are back in closed session. Are there any reportable action?
No reportable action.
Thank you. At this point, the course of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the board, any matter not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment?
There are none.
Okay, seeing none, all right. We're on to approval of the minutes. Motion to approve, is there a second? Second. Okay, so motion to approve by Director Kennett and a second by Director Alexander. All right, the roll call. Let's see, I asked you guys.
Buttons or.
Are we ready?
Are we buttoning our roll calling?
Director Kennett,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Yes.
Director Annable.
Yes.
Director Alexander. Yes. Director Potter,
Yes.
Director Gill.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes unanimously. We are on to the consent calendar, so. For any member of the public may speak to any item on the consent calendar or request the chair to remove an item from the consent calendar for discussion. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. For anyone wishing to pull an item from the consent calendar.
I move to approve as shown.
Second.
Oh, we have a motion to approve consent items 1 through 8. With Director Alexander, with Director Kennett and Director Gill, correct? Yep, okay. Right,
Director Kennett,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
yes.
Director Annable.
Yes.
Director Alexander. Yes. Director Potter,
Yes.
Director Gill.
Yes.
All right, and that motion passes unanimously. Okay. And nothing under old business, so we are on to new business. And the first item is the consideration of 20% funding application, City of San Jose.
Great. Good evening, directors. This will be a very short presentation. We had planned this evening to present the 20% funding application from the City of San Jose. They contacted us yesterday and asked that we postpone this item as they work through some project details. So we plan to bring this back probably in a month or two. Any questions about that?
Is this the one in District 3?
Yeah, on right next to the community center.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So it's still coming, just a little bit of a delay. So apologies for
So
that.
there's no action at this time.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was fast. Okay, so now we are on to information item, the 2022-2023 Urban Grant Program Guidelines and Process Review. Jackie.
Hi, hello directors. My name is Jackie Latham, and this is my first time meeting you all in person and presenting in person with you. So nice to be here. Great. So I will be talking with you. This is a bit of what we're calling a workshop before the Urban Grant Programs Awards. So in May and in July, we'll be having special board meetings to make the awards. So this is to prep for those. They're really long meetings. They traditionally have the most public members come to them. So it really helps us to kind of prepare beforehand and talk through some of the process. And can you hear me if I stand up straight like this, or do I need to lean in? Okay, great. So I will give you a little overview of the Urban Grant Program. We'll summarize the applications. This will not be a meeting to discuss the applications specifically. That will happen in the special meetings. We'll talk a little bit about the review process and then the award process, and then we should have time for questions too. So the Urban Grant Program has been in existence since 2016. Since then, we've had about 4 solicitations every other year. The Board of Directors has awarded 54 grants for almost $4 million. And if you're interested in reminding yourself or seeing where those projects are, we have an interactive map on our website. You can see the little green triangles show you those locations. And there's also a urban success stories on our website. So you can read more about those previously awarded ones. Oh, it's just going. Yeah. It's maybe on a timer on accident. I'll just do the arrow if needed. Thanks. So the Urban Grant Program is based off our guidelines, and this year we had 2 separate guidelines. One for one, maybe the pause. No, I don't know. I'll just talk. Yeah, no, not the pause share. Maybe the space bar. Does that pause it? No. Okay. Sorry, I don't know why that's doing that. So we have programs and planning and capital projects. They have 2 separate guidelines this year, and they had 2 separate deadlines as well. So you'll see a reminder of the dates of these special board meetings. So Thursday, May 18th will be for programs, and Thursday, July 20th will be for capital and planning projects. This is to show you an overview of the timeline thus far and in the future. So the pre-applications were open in October of last year. They closed in November, and then full applications were due in February. And that gave about 12 to 16 weeks for the full application process for them to apply. And then the board awards will be for programs May 18th. A few days later, the Citizens Advisory Committee will review and give recommendations for the capital grants. And then the capital grants will come to the board for a special meeting on July 20th. So the total funding available for the solicitation is expected to be 1.5 million divided between the 2 solicitations. All of these grants are reimbursement based, and the applicants are local public agencies, schools and school districts, and nonprofits. And if an organization does not fall into one of those 3 categories, they can have a fiscal sponsor. For programs, these are applications for $20,000 to $100,000 for individual projects. There's $750,000 expected available for programs. These would be a 2-year grant period and an expedited review process, which means these do not go to the CAC. And we expect between 11 and 15 awards depending on the request amounts. And for capital, this is capital and planning projects. These are $40,000 to $250,000 projects. There's also $750,000 available, and these will be for 3-year grants. And these ones will be taken to the CAC on May 22nd to have their recommendations, and that will be given to you in your in the Board of Directors packet. And we expect around 4 to 6 awards for those. Some notable changes for this year's solicitation, in contrast to years past, is that we're only requiring 25% match for organizations that have annual incomes of $10 million or more. And this feedback was all taken into consideration from feedback from the board and CAC and from former applicants. We also used a new grant management software, which we so far are pleased with. We also updated the underserved communities definition to be more updated for inclusive and more common usage today, and also made that question worth more points and moved it from a bonus point into the main application. And then we also had a pre-application stage. This was so grantees or applicants did not go through the full application process to then find out they might be disqualified. We tried to help them understand if they would be qualified before doing a lot of that work. The 4 project categories that projects can fall into, they can fall into 1 or more. These are the same as past cycles, being environmental stewardship and restoration, parks, trails, and public access, environmental education, and urban ag and food systems. This is the program area. So all programs need to take place within our jurisdiction, and any capital or planning project must happen within our eligible grants area, which is the orange hashed area. that really make sure that the projects are really focused in the urban areas, which is the intention of the Urban Grant Program. So for this solicitation, we have a total of 31 applications requesting approximately $3.3 million. We have 22 program grant applications and 9 capital. 9 of these organizations are new applicants to the program, which we think is exciting. And more detailed summaries of the applications will be included in your next meeting materials, but also you will be sent out links to the applications, I believe, tomorrow. So for the special meetings, the way that we think it will work is that we will introduce the recommended applications, and then each application can be discussed. We're encouraging speakers to sign up beforehand, so there will be one official representation or representative from each application. They will be given a certain amount of time to speak that'll be designated by Director Chapman. And then other members of the public are also invited to speak. And then the Board of Directors can discuss and ask questions. If anyone would like to discuss non-recommended applications, that can also happen. And then at the end, there will be a market basket approach where someone will make a motion to award X number of applications for X number of dollars, and that will be voted from there instead of doing each one individually. This is an example of one of the board items that'll be in your packet, along with many other helpful summaries. As you'll see at the bottom, there's a staff recommendation section where you'll see the scoring and the ranking. And then for the capital projects, you'll also see the CAC's recommendations and their comments. So this will be emailed out to you tomorrow. This is the links to the public application portal. So you will be able to see all the applications and their any attachments like letters of support or so forth. So there's the programs and then the capital. And there will also be a conflict of interest memo sent along with them. Please make sure to let the clerk and us know as soon as possible if there's any conflicts of interest. We really want to make sure we have quorum so we can have these exciting awards. Great, so any time for questions through the chair.
Anybody have any questions, especially new members?
What was the July date?
That's July 20th. And that's a special meeting. Yes, the May 18th and the CAC May 22nd and the July 20th are all special meetings.
Can you go back to the slide that kind of had the breakdown of the first one? Like, the one I want, no, it was that one. Nope. Okay. One that 9 organizations have not applied before. Like specific type.
Yeah, I should clarify, it's 9 of the applications have not applied before. There's 1 or 2 of those who submitted 2 applications, but yeah, it is exciting that the word is spreading, it seems.
No, and then the engagement process work that we're reaching out into areas that did, engage with us. I want to highlight that.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Nope. You guys all look so excited. You know what's coming.
Yes.
It's so well worked.
No, great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Previous years, it was
No,
kind of
we
thrown at.
So yes, thanks Director Chapman for pointing that out. The 5:30 start time is to accommodate the traditionally longer meeting time.
So my colleagues are so excited.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. No other questions? All right. And next we have an informational item on spring 2023 update on legislative policy priorities. My favorite. Welcome, Mark.
All right, good evening, directors. Mark Landgraf, External Affairs Manager. Lena and I will be presenting tonight an update on the legislative and policy priorities. So is this going to advance by itself too, or? Okay, okay. Just checking. So, so there's There we go. Okay. So back in October, we presented some draft priorities and received feedback from your board and incorporated those into our priorities for this current legislative session. So those are the priorities under which we're currently operating. So those include program objectives, primarily for funding and policy at the federal, state, and local levels, and at various levels of engagement, which are described in your board packet in detail, depending on the topic, depending on the relevancy to our agency and the urgency, of course, of action. And then a lot of the work that we do is through coalitions and collaboration with partners. For instance, Peninsula Open Space Trust, we work with very closely on many of the policy and funding issues. We work through coalitions like Together Bay Area's Policy Committee. That's very important to our work. In terms of timing, we are here currently at the end of April, deep within the legislative sessions, both at the federal and state level. We are expecting governors may revise for the state of California middle of May. And Lena will talk more about the budget issues at the state, but otherwise moving through both sessions and in just ongoing policy work locally. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the federal program, and then I will hand it off to Lena for state and local work. So as you can see in the photo, Megan Drager and I had the good fortune of being able to travel to DC last week to visit with some of our congressional members and agency staff. This is Congresswoman Anna Eshoo that is standing there with Ben Goldine on the left. He's our consultant with Townsend Public Affairs, who is organizing a lot of the meetings. And so I did want to give an update on last week's trip, and it is really a good representation of our federal program overall. So with the trip, the main priority, as generally is for our federal program, is relationship building. We want to build relationships, especially with our congressional representatives, both in the House and in the Senate, and then also with agency representatives at the agencies that are relevant to our organization that provide grant funding, such as in the Department of Interior and at the Department of Agriculture. And then also, of course, with the staffers that represent our elected members. So in last week's meeting, Megan and I participated in 13 different, in the trip, we participated in 13 different meetings in the course of 2 days. And that was with all of these folks that I was just mentioning. Members Anna Eshoo and Jimmy Panetta directly. In fact, with Congresswoman Eshoo, she gave us 40 minutes of her time, which was really impressive. Most members pop in and out because they're so busy. I'm sure Congresswoman Eshoo is very busy too, but she really loves the work that we do. She had a lot of suggestions to make for us, including on the Farm Bill, and just really enjoyed talking with us about the work we do. A lot of it is, in her district. We talked about Living Classroom, for instance, the urban grant program that we've funded through our program. So we also met with, as I mentioned, Jimmy Panetta. He stepped out of the Ways and Means Committee into the back room where we were waiting. He met with us for 5 minutes and then went back to the Ways and Means Committee that he was speaking at. So we were really honored to have some of his time as well. And then with our other members, Congresswoman Lofgren, and we didn't have a chance to meet with staff from Ro Khanna, but Congresswoman Lofgren's staff we met with, as well as staff from Senator Padilla's office and Senator Feinstein's office. So the primary topics that we covered are certainly an overview of our agency, the work we're doing, especially climate resilience and connecting people to nature. We had a couple of specific asks. One is relevant to the community project funding request that we submitted through Congressman Panetta's office. That was $800,000 for an ADA trail at Coyote Valley. And he did prioritize that project. We learned that just the night as we arrived in DC. And so we were able to thank him the next day that he prioritized that project, put it on the list, and it's now going through the appropriations process at the House. So we mentioned, of course, that project to others that we met with. And then the other specific ask that we had was related to the Farm Bill. So specifically, the buy, protect, sell transactions within the Agricultural Conservation Easement Program that NRCS, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, runs. And we currently aren't eligible to initiate those transactions, which we would like to be, because there are a lot of farmers in the area that we would like to enable land access for that currently can't afford the real estate. But if we attain that eligibility, we'd be able to engage in those transactions ourselves rather than the current status, which is that we're just able to hold the easement. So we had, depending on who we were meeting with, some very technical discussions about that, and mentioned that we're part of a coalition that includes the Conservation Fund and American Farmland Trust that are pushing for those same changes and others. So that helped us quite a bit because it's a larger program. And we have quite a bit of follow-up work, both Megan and myself, and we'll continue to push on that as the House develops its specific language for the Farm Bill. So that's what I had on our federal program. Any questions before I transition to state and local?
Next time you're president.
I was gonna say that I'm aware of May 6th in my neighborhood, so should any, I would say, staff happen to live within my neighborhood boundaries, Representative Khanna is gonna be doing a walk and talk.
Be a great chance to meet him.
It would be an excellent chance to meet him,
Yeah.
just walk along, the Alameda, yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. We'll see what we can do. All right, thank you. All right, Lena.
All right, good evening, directors. Lena Ian, Community Impact and Policy Specialist. So I will be talking or providing some updates from the state level. So starting off with the budget, as we anticipated and as the Legislative Analyst Office also anticipated, there's continues to be a budget deficit or are estimating a budget deficit. And so it's unlikely that many general fund requests will be granted and anticipating cuts from to the Coastal Conservancy that were committed over the last 2 surplus years. And so we have expressed to our members, representatives, concern over this and the importance of that funding, and members such as Senator Laird have expressed their support for trying to retain that funding. And then moving on to bonds, thanks to Assemblymember Kalra, the Coyote Valley Conservation Program was placed into AB 1567, which is the Assembly Climate Bond, and asked for $30 million that would go through the Coastal Conservancy. It would be flexible funding directly to OSA for 30 by 30 implementation projects. So that could be land acquisition, restoration, or public access. But again, there's no guarantee. Even if this made its way through the legislature and was signed by the governor, it would then go to the voters. A few other bond-related notes. SB 867 is the Senate version of the resources bond for the same amount. And then AB 408 is the agricultural bond that's expected to be rolled into another bond measure depending on which one moves forward. And then there are several other bonds that are also continuing through and that would address flooding, housing, and transportation issues. So again, we'll continue to track those as they move forward. Moving on to bills, as you saw in the board report, there was an extensive list there, but a couple that we just wanted to highlight. AB 68, which is authored by Assemblymember Ward, and supporters include the Nature Conservancy, California YIMBY, and the Endangered Habitats League. This is a bill that we're following closely. It really brings together the housing and sort of conservation dialogue, and that it would require ministerial approval of eligible multifamily infill housing development projects and would preserve natural and working lands for climate resilience through a methodology. So it's really bringing those two the stakeholders together, really productive dialogue. And so we would not be surprised if this becomes a 2-year bill, and we'll continue to follow this as it moves forward. And I'll talk a little bit later about some other things that relate to that topic. Another bill, AB 362, is the alternative land taxation study by Assemblymember Lee, which would authorize a study to look into potential benefits of a system that would instead tax underlying land without regard to buildings, personal property, or other improvement. It's not a bill that we would usually engage on, but it's an opportunity to support, again, this dialogue over the infill, supporting infill over sprawl. And so we did submit a letter of support for that bill. As Mark was mentioning, in terms of relationship building at the federal level, we've also been continuing to have meetings at the state level in Sacramento, and some tours, like one that was recently put on the calendar for August with Assemblymember Kalra, that would be focusing on the Diablo Mountains in partnership with Save Mount Diablo. Moving on to regional/local. We are excited that next Tuesday, May 2nd, the Natural and Working Lands element will be brought to San Jose City Council to accept the element. And we are in support of the motion to accept the Natural and Working Lands element and direct staff to incorporate it into Climate Smart San Jose. And we submitted, or we will be submitting a support letter for that, and also plan to provide public comment during the meeting. At the end of March, a letter was submitted by staff in support of LAFCO staff recommendation to deny the City of Gilroy Urban Service Area amendment, as it was inconsistent with regional urban growth policy. And earlier this month, a comment letter was submitted on the county's draft housing element update, expressing support for staff's effort to direct the housing unit allocations for the unincorporated area to the urban pockets rather than rural sites. And so that is something that we're continuing to follow, as again, that's just a draft. And so it will be going back and forth between the channels throughout the process that it will move through. And related to that dialogue, in the insights that we're kind of learning through this process is helping to inform conversations that are already starting about the next RHNA cycle, RHNA 7. HCD has a survey out, and we've been coordinating with some of our other local conservation partners about our responses to that survey and opportunities to improve the process. And that also ties into the white paper that we continue to work on with the Nature Conservancy, Green Foothills, and Midpin staff on really highlighting the story of what has happened through this process here in Santa Clara and San Mateo County, how the intentions being expressed at the state level regarding smart growth and limiting sprawl are just not trickling down to the local level with the current processes in some cases, really just missing the guardrails on some of the conservation lands. And so, and similarly, kind of the premise of allocating sites to unincorporated areas in a county like Santa Clara, where there's been such intentional policies to see that urban development, or that development happen in the urban areas. So we ultimately are developing recommendations for ways to improve the state process, or again, kind of add guardrails so that these intentions are trickling down, and we're seeing that at the local level. And then lastly, in terms of other collaboration and coordination, we will be participating next week, yes, in the Santa Clara County Climate Collaborative meeting. It will be one of kind of the main kickoff events for that. And I believe there will be some more comments later from Andrea about that meeting. And then we've also been participating with the San Jose Community Forest Advisory Committee. That has started to pick up, and will be continuing to meet more frequently as a member on that committee. And I believe that's it. So any questions?
Any questions from?
Just a suggestion or a question. So I just go over the state bill trackers. If you don't mind, I think maybe if you put the full name of the authors, that is easy to understand instead of the last name.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
might be it's easier to know who's that person. Other than that, it seems really good and thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Director Potter, Director no, Director Animals, no. Thank you for the report. I geek out on this stuff. So, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, next Tuesday is gonna be very exciting.
Yeah.
because I want to figure under, but I even remember, we're quite a hard push for staff to get that incorporated, and I saw that come up on the agenda one. They did it. So, that's great. I'm looking forward to hearing you speak.
Great.
Any other questions? No. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the hard work. Right, and the next item is authorization to approve the California Office of Emergency Services designation of applicant agent resolution for non-state agencies.
Yes.
There.
Yes. Good evening, Directors. Justina Teen, Fiscal Services Officer. A couple meetings ago, staff had informed the board that we were going to seek federal and state assistance for the winter storms back in January 2023. So we initiated the application process, and since then we've held a kickoff meeting with Cal OES. We were informed back in late March that our application was approved. They actually scheduled a project scoping meeting, and we've also recently scheduled some site visits to the potential project locations, which I'll turn over to Derek Newman, our Field Operations Manager, to provide more info on the proposed repairs to the damages.
Good evening, directors. So tonight, I'm going to be presenting to you kind of some of the damage that was sustained during the storms of 2023 and the very end of 2022, which was winter when this period started, through about the end of January. This was the first storm set that really impacted the Bay Area, and a lot of the damage was sustained during that time, and this is what this period covers. A lot of the damage was basically blown down trees from the which arrow do I hit? Space bar. Uh-oh. There we go. So Sierra Vista Open Space Preserve, we saw some down trees, and one of the main areas of concern that we couldn't clear right away, which was considered emergency debris removal, which we were able to get reimbursed for as well, was that one little red X on the left side of the map. That one little red X, I'll go through in a little bit about what that is, but that was an area that was impacted on the trail itself that was outside of the normal debris down trees. On Rancho, we had several locations that would be impacted, a lot of them along our trail system on Catamount and on Mayfair Ranch Trail, but then also along Casa Loma Road. Again, there was a significant amount of work that was done during the storms and directly after the storms that we will be reimbursed in arrears for our staff's time out there, as well as the equipment rental. That are basically our equipment that we were using, we will be able to charge equipment rental rates for and get reimbursed for those as well. So at Sierra Vista and Rancho Cañada del Oro, these are the two areas that we're going to really focus on here. This is Sierra Vista. We had several slides that came down across the trails themselves. The one on the very left was on the Sierra Vista Trail. That one there, we were able to clean out as soon as it dried. The one in the middle is on the Picardo Trail, which is the road segment. This is an area that we've had issues with in the previous years when it's been saturated. As you know, more than likely, the East Foothills are a slide-prone zone, and our trail system goes through the heart of that slide-prone zone. So a lot of our damage is generally over there as the slides. This one here is in the realm of about $46,000 repair. We're going to need to remove that debris, stabilize a little bit of the hill, And then we'll reincorporate the debris back into the trail system. So we'll basically scarify the trail system on either side of it and then recompact the material into it. This is one of the things that FEMA loves about us because we're not removing the debris from the site. We actually reincorporate a lot of the debris back into our system, which saves them a lot of money from transportation offsite and then also all the dump fees that are associated with removing the debris. On the very far right picture, that's an area where the slide is actually pulling away from the hillside. In this instance here, this will be reincorporated back into it. So we'll go in, we'll basically scarify the trail system a little bit, scarify that material, bring it up, recompact it down into it. At Catamount on Rancho, we ended up having to do a little bit more extensive repair on that one. And that was that big red X that was up on the Catamount Trail. This kind of, these ones here show a little bit about what we generally find when we go out there. So the far left picture is a downed tree that came down right next to our trail system. Staff generally go out during the storm and remove what needs to for safety, for immediate travel access on these roads. And then later we will come back and we'll end up doing the debris removal. So what's done during the storms, we get reimbursed for then. Then these ones here, we're going to go back, and this is what was approved as well, was this kind of debris removal where we go back out. Fortuitously, this evening in the consent calendar, you approved one of our main items that we would be using for this, which is the Brush Bandit chipper. It's a 12-inch chipper. And once we get that secure, we're going to be coming out here and doing a lot of this work with our new chipper. So not only will we be able to be reimbursed for our staff time, but we'll also be able to charge the chipper's time directly to this project as well. So in a sense, FEMA will be funding part of the chipper's purchase price. So they're very fortuitous that that was approved tonight. The middle picture is, again, an example of a little bit of a slide on Rancho Cañada del Oro. We'll come through with equipment here, or equipment we already have, which is the tractor. And we'll basically push that debris out, again, scarify the trail on either side and reincorporate that debris. And then on the two right side pictures, those are both on Casa Loma Road. It shows the work that the team has already done where they've already piled up the brush on either side of the road, and it's awaiting the chipper to come through at a later time and be removed from those locations. At Coyote Valley, we had one of our ancient oaks come down, unfortunately. So we did lose that. This is one of those ones that the chipper is definitely going to be a help for. There's a huge canopy there that has to be removed and chipped up. Again, we retain all this material on site. So it's nothing that comes over. We're going to basically process the tree there on site, and all of its remains will basically re-energize that system there and go back into the nutrient cycle. So it's one of the things that we really do pride ourselves on. It's not one of the main operations where you see the chipper come behind and then blow all the chips into the truck, and then the truck goes and dumps it off site somewhere. All of this will remain on site for local reintegration into the systems themselves. When it's all said and done, we're going to be looking, this wasn't the only ones though. We also had a little bit of vehicle damage out there. The picture on the left happened in Allen Rock Park. This was about 5 to 10 minutes after our open space, seasonal open space tech had gotten out of the vehicle to go finish his log for the day. This was a life-changing event for him. It was one of those like, wow, this was like really close. He was in the building when the tree came down. The ground shook when this tree hit the truck itself. And it's one of those moments where you look at like, you know, if I was just 5 minutes later, if I had talked to one other person, I could have just been pulling up when this happened here. On the right side picture, that was a vehicle that we were out on Allen Rock Falls Road. We were out to assess a rock slide when an additional rock slide came down and damaged the vehicle. FEMA will be reimbursing us for our deductibles, which are $5,000 per vehicle here. Our insurance covered the rest, and we're going to be reimbursed the $10,000 for these two vehicles. When it's all said and done, we're looking in the realm of about $120,000 of staff time, equipment rental time, and deductibles that we'll be receiving from both the federal government and the state government. They reimburse, I believe, up to 93%, Justina? Between the two, 75 for this Fed and 18.75 for the state. So 73.5%. So all our costs for removing all this stuff will end up being 6.5%. which is a really big deal when we're talking like in the tunes of like $125,000 back to us. This is all time-based, so while we have estimates, it will be the actual time we do spend on these projects. So that number could increase if our time out there is increased by just removing the debris itself once we get down to it. All of this will be completed within the next 6 months. Our priority right now is Mayan o Yakma Coyote Ridge Preserve and getting the trail systems open. As soon as we've done our duty out there and have secured that opening, which I hope all of you can make it out on July 8th, when we open it up officially for the early access period, then we'll be focusing on all the debris removal on our preserves, as well as preparing a lot of our properties for the upcoming fire season as well. With that, I open it up to any questions. And then I'll hand it back over to Justina.
Sorry, just want to follow up because I'll follow up with the administrative. Thank you. The final list of projects and its estimated cost that Derek had mentioned is due to FEMA and Cal OES by June 2nd. And in the meantime, we're to collect and submit a number of maintenance records, the pictures, the insurance claim information that we had submitted. And in your packet is the designation of the applicant's agent resolution, which is required for us to receive any funds. So it's an important piece of paper. And that is what staff is recommending to the board to sign and to approve and sign the resolution tonight. And that concludes.
Vehicles, Derek?
Unfortunately, the vehicle on the right was about 2 weeks old when that happened. The one on the left was our most ancient of all vehicles. So that one we had already, actually the one on the right replaced the one on the left. So I don't know how that happened, but they both got nailed in the series of events that we had.
How's our staffer?
Our staffer is doing well. He definitely was shaken by the event, as can be expected. But he took it really well. He was definitely in the very first couple hours afterwards, like just, wow, I can't believe this ever happened to me. Like it was there. It was moments.
That's scary.
I can recommend we. move forward.
Okay, now before we do that one, is there any public comment?
There is none.
Okay, all right. Now we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
So motion approved from Director Kennett and second from Director Potter. Your roll call.
Director Kenneth,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Yes.
Director Annable,
Yes.
Director Alexander,
Yes.
Director Potter,
Yes.
Director Gill.
Yes.
Right, that motion passes unanimously. Yeah. Okay, at this point, we have an update regarding the Citizens Advisory Committees. It's going to be Director Animal or Lee. Okay, Lee. Forum issue.
Oh, no, sorry, Director Annable, this is for the CAC meeting.
Yes. Am I understood that it was a joint meeting today?
That was the UNM though today, and I think we're looking for an update from the CAC meeting.
The March 27th.
And yeah, thank you for the date for March.
Okay,
Sorry about
while
that.
she's checking her notes, let's go on to the expenditure plan oversight committee.
I can definitely do that.
Okay.
So on April 19th, the Expenditure Plan Oversight Committee, or EPOC, held their third of 4 annual meetings where they drafted their annual oversight report. They selected presenters and they gave us their top 2 dates they'd like to come and present to the board. So right now we have them tentatively scheduled for May 25th, where you'll see Chair Wheeler and Coach or Vice Chair David Burkhart come to present the oversight report.
That leaves one more meeting for the committee, and that'll occur probably in the fall. Where we take them out to at least one project site where Measure T and Measure Q dollars are at work. I think I mentioned at the last meeting, they actually got a sneak peek to Mayano Yapa as a project site for Measure Q dollars last year. That's my update, and they'll see you in May. Great, thank you. You ready to go back to you? Sure. Okay, Director Annabelle is going to give us an update on the CAC.
A great presentation was given regarding the 20% funding. Staff is left, Megan's left. It's being the presentation. For the park that's across from DMV, it's called the Iliad Park in the city of San Jose. And then an outline also was given regarding the grant program. This is the primary thing is that draft annual work plan.
Use the management committee.
That'd be me.
No, not me.
That'd be me.
That's okay, Director Kenneth.
Yes. Right. It was a road trip to Mayama, and it was very interesting. It's funny, I know we've been presented for a couple of years now. I was gonna look, until you get out there and see it, you can't appreciate it. It's gonna take us many steps ahead of any other survey we have. And I could spend the rest of the night describing it. I think you're all gonna see it sooner than later, and I don't want to be a spoiler.
How are the wildflowers?
Yeah.
Eh?
Down the downside.
Yeah, it was, we might have missed it, or we were at the wrong place too. It's a combination there.
All right. Thank you very much. And we're on to the general manager report.
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. Good evening. The first thing I wanted to report out on is was it yesterday? Our chair and I attended the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District Board meeting. It was a special meeting they held. It was earlier at 4 o'clock. And they had a special order of the day where they presented the Open Space Authority with a resolution honoring us for our 30th anniversary. And it was lovely. And many of the board members had some very nice things to say, and particularly Kurt Riffle really kind of waxed poetic about the Open Space Authority. And anyway, I said a few words for Helen and I don't know, Helen, if there's anything else you want to mention about that?
No, I was gonna say, but I think the highlight of their comments were just the work on Coyote Valley and how, they're really encouraged by our leadership in this area. So yeah, it was very heartwarming. It was very nice. And I recognized a former member or a board member that I served with on Committee for Green Foothills. So Margaret McMiven. Got a shout out from the Diets. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Next item, and we kind of touched on this a little bit on your consent calendar tonight, and then Lena Ian mentioned it briefly, but this evening the board formally approved our participation in Santa Clara County's Climate Collaborative, which is defined as a regional solution to advance regional solutions to climate change through formation of a regional collaborative to build stronger alignment in decision-making, policy implementation, and to seek funding to implement climate resilience projects across the county and all the cities of the county. So it's a very impressive effort that's getting underway, that's being led by the Office of Sustainability at the county, Yasneet Sharma. So the kickoff for the Climate Collaborative is being held next week, May 4th, from 1 to 3:30 at the Sunnyvale Community Center. I'm planning to attend. Lena Ian of our staff is going. Director Flaher indicated interest in going. So I know they're limiting attendance to 75 people. So if any board members have interest in attending, please let us know as soon as possible. And with that, I think I'll pass it on to Matt.
Good evening, directors. A couple of comments. First, I would like to respond to a written correspondence that you all received from Mr. Muirhead. So if it's okay, I would just like for the record to explain the staff rationale for rebidding the Yagas Creek Bridge project. Staff did that for two main reasons. The first was to better clarify the exact bridge type. It's a unique steel truss type bridge. And the second reason was just to specify the exact date of completion of requirements. It's a grant funded project. We need to get it done in a timely manner. And so really the intent was just to really ensure that we receive accurate and competitive bids for this grant funded project. In addition to including these reasons in the updated request for bids document that was published earlier this week on the 24th, staff had also communicated directly with the bidders, kind of as indicated in Mr. Muirhead's letter. So just wanted to close the loop on that. Also, in case Mr. Muirhead is like following along in the meeting. And then also, Director Chapman, I really appreciate your remarks calling attention to the city's adoption of the natural and working lands element, the Clements Mark San Jose. This is a very, very big deal for the Open Space Authority. We funded half of the project amount. I think our contribution was about $80,000. And the preservation and management of the city's portfolio of natural and working lands is really essential for the city to meet its Paris climate goals and to help achieve their own carbon net neutrality. We believe they can't do it with electrification alone, but investment in the protection and restoration of natural and working lands, farmlands, forests, oak woodlands, grasslands, meadows, wetlands, riparian areas along the city's network of creeks and streams is a really, really necessary part of the equation. And so the natural and working land element evaluated the importance of preserving open space and the land use element, and it articulated the benefits, including of some of the general plan changes, designating parts of North Coyote Valley as open space and agriculture, as opposed to commercial and industrial development, which would have had huge carbon emissions. And then it also evaluated the impact and benefits of, again, preserving and restoring some of these landscapes, recognizing that trees, grasses, deep roots, etc., sequester carbon, right? It draws it out of the atmosphere. So as far as we know, this is one of the first efforts by a city of this size to adopt a natural and working lands element as part of the climate action plan like that. So we hope it'll be inspiring for other jurisdictions to follow suit. So thank you again for bringing it to our attention, and we hope the city will adopt this element.
I'm pretty sure. And it's timely. I mean, I think it's timely, all the conversations going on, and it's very special to highlight that. Great.
Lee?
Thank you, Andrea. Just a couple of quick notes. May 11th, that the ABC will be bringing a draft budget for review. And then on June 8th, we'll be bringing the full draft budget and work plan for full board's review. So reflection of Justina team's very hard work putting together another beautiful document for your review, and a lot of staff work behind that as well. And Derek and Aaron, I don't know if you wanted to have comments regarding events today out at Mayana Yakima earlier. I'll pause if you want to add.
Yeah, I'll just say this is Aaron here, Natural Resources Manager. We were pleased to host members of the Human Ed Committee as well as the CAC. We had a staff meeting, all staff meeting preceding that. And I was out on site with Dr. Stu Weiss preceding that, getting deep into the butterfly habitat. There are great wildflowers out there, so I'll have to get you into the backcountry a little bit more next time. But yeah, it was a great opportunity to engage staff in, y'all have actually probably received some longer presentations than some of our staff have on, the why and what's of Mayana Yakima. So it was great to, get people excited about the place, get people excited about the butterflies, the team effort that we're doing out there. So, and then finally, it was great to sort of, end of the day by talking to the CAC or, some of our core supporters there and asking questions about, how's it all going to work, right? So it was a cool day. I think I was out there from 9 to 5, so I've got a nice tan going at this point. Now I'll just add that with our planning manager, Lucas Schellhammer, he was able to demo what the butterfly pass is going to look like when we first start out the system. And this is that special access area that we're going to be doing and how easy it is to get the butterfly pass. And then we're able to go a little bit more into depth about just what that is. It's not an enforcement tool as much as it is an educational tool. And even when we're talking and engaging with people out there that we do see that don't have that pass, it is more from that educational standpoint, and we're going to offer them the ability to get the pass almost instantaneously. And you'll be seeing more about that in an upcoming board report when we do the RFP for the vendor for actually managing that kind of system that we want to implement fully once the preserve is fully open. So stay tuned with that.
Mark, any further remarks tonight? No? Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Legal counsel.
Nothing to report, Madam Chair.
Great. Okay, board member reports. We'll go on this side. Director Gill. I'm going with you. I'm picking on you tonight.
I just want to be informed that because our community, like Indian community, especially the Sikh community, is going to be celebrate a spring festival as called a Bisakhi. If you heard that, that will be next Sunday, 10 to 5 in our Sikh temples. I think the address is 3636 Gurdwara Avenue, San Jose. On the behalf of the community, and kindly invite everybody, just join and then enjoy that festival. It's really a good festival.
Thank you. Director Pop.
I saw in our packet, we have an event on May 6th. So looking forward to seeing you all again soon, and apologies for not being able to be at the use and management today.
No report, but looking forward to May 6th.
I have a very short report because I have to go back and remember it's been a month. So I attended LAFCO in person, which is kind of fun. Never met some staff in person before. Terry Trumbull was elected to LAFCO as the committee member. And the Gilroy annexation was deferred. Again, some of the things that we're doing is very timely. And that's it. I attended the event with the general manager yesterday, which was very nice. And I'm also looking forward to the May 6th event. Director Amble.
No report, but just one question on the May 8th event. Which is going to be out at the preserve. What time is it? Is it something that we can invite? We have the cards that you've given us. Or did I get a date wrong? I think May 6th is Tilton, right? So I'm talking about. I thought you said on July 8th.
July 8th will be the opening of Mayan Oyakma.
And so we can invite the outside world. We don't have to wait for them.
That will be an open to all. Come and enjoy. We're going to be low playing it, so there won't be a really huge announcement about it. But we hope to see all of you there. Soft opening. Yes. Soft opening.
I'm really disappointed. I'm going to be in Germany then.
That's not a disappointment.
Haven't traveled in 3 years, so yeah.
This is beautiful.
Yes.
Whoever designed it.
Please take pictures for me.
Mark, you want to just explain a little bit about that and maybe the plans that are coming up for the actual ribbon cutting day? Because that's already happening, right?
Yeah. So, Director Annabelle, those postcards were designed by Anna Marie Pilon on our communication staff. So it's sort of after a style of some of the national park posters. And so there are a series of those for each of our preserves. So you'll see those at the May 6th event. And then in planning for the ribbon cutting for Mayan Yakima, so that'll be on October 13th. And that will be an event to which press is invited. We have speakers that include Mwekma Chairwoman Charlene Nijma. And we also have local speakers that will be included in that, including state and local elected officials. So on the day after that, on October 14th, it'll be more of a family celebration day. So it won't be media related, but it'll be an opportunity for folks to come out with families. There'll be booths and tents set up from partners to the authority to, you know, showcase some of the work that's been done broadly to protect lands like Mayan Yakima Coyote Bridge. And so there'll be a shuttle service that is operated from the parking lot at Gavilan College. That's our intent. Yeah, fingers crossed that works out so that we can have a lot of attendance without without using the parking lot for parking. So we can use it for people to wander around and then go to the trails immediately adjacent to the staging area.
I'm sorry, which college you said?
Gavilan College in Coyote Valley on Bailey Avenue.
And then one other thing that we'll be doing for the 14th, since it will be an event that you need to register for the parking and for the shuttle. We're also going to ensure that those people are aware that there are going to be drone footage and photography being taken place so that we can build our library of people coming out and enjoying the preserves.
Director Kennett, do you have any updates?
Last night I attended a scrumptious steak dinner presented by Cattlemen's Association. It was actually an infomercial by Merck. And while enjoying the dinner, got to know a lot more than I ever thought needed to know about how to worm a calf versus a cow versus a bull. And I felt underdressed because I didn't bring my straw hat. I was almost the only one in the room without one. But that said, I always enjoy the cattlemen as well as the farm girl. They especially are worried about their future in the sense that there's really two groups: the very young and the very old. In the middle, most of the old are retired or not working the ranches. The very young are there as family members. And the trouble is, there's really nobody to take over the ranch. That's the big concern. It's that group. So their future is questionable as a small farmer, small cattleman, because big companies are, basically slowly putting them out of business. So it's important that our role remains very effective and very aggressive to make sure that they're at least able to, should they wish to continue with their lifestyles. So anyway, I'm now a smarter man than I was this time last year.
All right, thank you, Director. All right, at this point in the meeting, we are formally adjourned.
Free dinner.
They bought drinks too. It was great.
Oh, dinner. Right.